Hey everybody, I'm McGann, and welcome to another edition of There I Read It, where I'm going over the Harry Potter books chapter by chapter for the first time ever in my life. Today we are on Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire Chapter 15, which is Beauxbatons and Durmstrang. I feel like I'm not saying that right, but that looks like the only correct way to pronounce it. So at the end of the last chapter, Sirius Black notifies Harry that he's on his way to try and help because of Harry's scar hurting from the beginning of the book. And so now Harry is writing a letter back to Sirius saying, basically, I'm good, don't come. And Harry has to go to the Owlery, which is at the top of the West Tower. And I was really surprised at how messy it was described on there. It was basically a bunch of birds and then a bunch of droppings and straw and skeletons on the floor. And you would think that they would have somebody dedicated to that space constantly cleaning it up, especially with all the talk of the house elves lately. And I mean, just in general, do the students have to go to the owlery to get their owls every single time? Because there has to be a better system than that. That place is so nasty by the sounds of it. It's just so disease riddled. And Hedwig is still mad because when she came back to Harry after being missing basically for months trying to get that first letter to Sirius Black, Harry did not give her a treat and was instead very short-tempered with her. So Hedwig is not very happy with Harry, but eventually she relents and she's just like, fine, I'll take your stupid letter. Then Harry's in class in Defense Against the Dark Arts, and apparently, or at least what is being claimed, is that Dumbledore wants Professor Moody to use the Imperius Curse on the children so that they know what it feels like. And I feel like that cannot be accurate. That seems way too out of bounds unless Dumbledore knows something is coming, which I don't know that I don't know. I'm not sure if I believe that Dumbledore is involved in these unforgivable curses being used and demonstrated right now. I think he might be in the dark. But who's to say? I don't know. Dumbledore works in weird and mysterious ways like Jeebus. But also trying to look at this from what does Moody have to gain by lying? I don't know. See, it kind of feels like to me that Moody wants to have these kids get used to him using these bad curses on them. So that way they trust him, oh, well, he used Imperius on us last time and nothing bad happened. So if he's doing it again, we don't need to panic. We just need to relax. He's just teaching us a lesson about something. But yeah, I kind of feel like Moody is getting the kids used to these negative curses so that he can do worse to them later and they're not going to suspect it. So when Moody goes Imperio, every thought that you have and every worry that you have just gets gently wiped away, and you find yourself doing things that you don't even really care about yourself doing them, that maybe you don't want to do, or maybe you're not even possible of doing, but somehow through this curse you are able to do. But Harry's being told to jump, and the voice in the back of his head is just kind of very casually going, nah, I don't want to jump. Why should I have to jump? And so Harry both ends up jumping and not jumping at the same time, which makes him smash his knees into a desk. So his kneecaps feel like they're broken. And Moody's like, oh, look at that. Harry's resisting. Let's keep using the Imperius Curse on Harry over and over again. And after 4 more tries, Harry can throw off the curse kind of no problem, like he's pretty much mastered it. But it is kind of weird because if Moody is trying to work these kids up to something like Avada Kedavra, that killing curse, there's no way to deflect it. Once you're hit with it, you're dead. And I'm directing Puffs right now, so I tell you for a fact that is exactly how that works. And after that class is over, the students are kind of talking about how they have so much extra work this year. Like everybody is piling it on really thick. And I kind of thought it was because of the Triwizard Tournament. You're going to lose a lot of class time with all of this other stuff going on. But apparently that's not the case, because McGonagall says that the owls, the ordinary wizarding level exams, start next year, so the 5th year for these kids, so they need to do a lot of extra work to be able to complete those owls in a good way, in a good score, I guess. And that just kind of made me wonder, what are the fifth years this year doing? Because obviously they're going to be interrupted over and over and over again for the tournament. But I don't know, the fifth years can't compete, so maybe it's more like a pep rally to have these events because, you know, those kids can't be in it, so they're just going to go watch for that one day. They don't have to train or prep or do anything to be a spectator, right? I don't know, maybe that's how that's working. But it just seems like the fifth year students are going to be at a disadvantage because of all the other stuff going on that's going to distract from the owls. Then we have Gryffindor and Slytherin in the Care of Magical Creatures class, which, how come, you know, Ravenclaw never gets paired with Gryffindor? Why is it always like Slytherin and rarely ever Hufflepuff? But Hagrid kind of gets fed up with Malfoy's attitude, and he threatens to transfigurate Malfoy because Malfoy is refusing to do his take care of this ugly thing homework. And he's like, hey, I heard Moody made you into quite the attractive ferret. It's like, oh... And how Moody didn't even get in trouble for that is baffling because it is supposed to be a big deal, right? But I don't know. Apparently Moody is like Ron Swanson and he's got a little note from Dumbledore that says, I can do what I want. Then there is a sign up that says, finally, the students from Beauxbatons and Durmstrang are set to arrive at 6 o'clock on Friday, October 30th. So they gonna do Halloween in Hogwarts. Oh. And there's Ernie Macmillan, I think was his last name. He sees that sign and he's like, oh, I gotta go tell Cedric. And so they're kind of piecing it together, Ron and Harry, that Cedric is going to enter the tournament to try and be the champion for Hogwarts. But then the kids find Fred and George, and they are still muttering to themselves in this secretive way that's very strange. It does not seem like it's connected to aging themselves for the tournament, so I don't know what it's about. But they're going on about being avoided and how they're going to slap a letter in this guy's hand. And that's like the biggest mystery of this book so far that I cannot piece together. I have no clue. But then it is mentioned, you know, hey, who are the judges for this Triwizard tournament? And apparently that panel will include the head of all the schools. And the way it was phrased, it sounded like there would be additional judges as well, but that was not at all clarified, so I don't know. Then Hermione brings up Hogwarts a History, and this time she's pretty miffed about it because they never mention house elves in that book. Which I do think is interesting because we're 4 books in now, and this is really the first time that house elves have come up as being part of the Hogwarts. I don't think staff is the right word if they're enslaved, but, you know, they're there doing all the grunt work. When, again, you would think, much like Filch, couldn't somebody just wave a wand and perform those tasks? Do we really need beings that are cooking and warming the beds if they can just go swick, flish, bloom and make it happen? I don't understand this magic or the limitations on it. It's very bizarre. But Hermione is still trying to recruit people for Spew and get their money to get her little buttons and make her pamphlets and stuff. And she's got a real Avenue Q vibe there. You know, when they get that help the homeless, give me $1 here in my hat. Come on, Princeton, it's as easy as that. Helping others brings you closer to God, so give me a quarter. You know, she's just like on this very righteous kick that she is doing the Lord's work and everybody better fall in line and, you know, pass the hat, give her donations and that sort of thing to make this situation better. And I feel like she's going to get there. Otherwise, she is spinning her tires for a lot of wasted page space in this book. So I feel like this Spew thing is going to have to go somewhere. If not in this book, then maybe in the next one. But yeah, it's strange. It is a very 2020s type of mentality that Hermione has back in the 90s. And that's not to say that it's bad, it's just very almost out of place. But at one point, George tells Hermione that the kitchen elves are so happy, they think they have the best jobs in the world. And Hermione is just so livid, like, well, that's because they don't know any better. And it does kind of raise an interesting debate point here in that, would the elves be happier on their own, or are they better off where they're at? You know, do they feel like they are enslaved, or is that just, their life. Kind of like, hey, I'm a pet. And I know if we bring this issue into, the human existence of things, it's a very different subject matter. But we are talking about witches, wizards, and house elves, which are totally different species. So I don't know. It is kind of a tricky issue. Obviously, enslavement of anybody would be bad if they're, fully sentient and all that. But I don't get a great impression from the house elves. Are they fully sentient? Or are they like puppies that can talk? Because I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how this goes as it continues. And then Harry gets a letter back from Sirius. It's been a really quick reply. And he's like, haha, nice try, kid, but I'm already in the country. By the way, if you want to contact me, use different owls. Hedwig is too conspicuous. So Harry's like, darn it, that failed. But now it is time for the other schools to arrive. Everybody is waiting for them outside. It's cold. They're getting miserable. Hermione brings up the point that you cannot apparate into Hogwarts, so they can't just magic themselves there. They have to be traveling physically somehow or another. And then over the forest, they finally see this giant carriage, and it's being carried by multiple Pegasus. And it lands, and it has this emblem of 2 golden wands that are crossed, and each of those wands are emitting 3 stars. And then out steps this gigantic woman that has to be inch for inch as big as Hagrid. She is Madame Maxine, and she sounds like she's French, but I mean, I don't know, between Beauxbatons and the way she speaks, I think that they're French, but I also think that they will not directly say because they're like, well, it's a secret. Wizards. And then behind Madame Maxine, they have about 12 boys and girls that have been brought to be potential champions. And they're all wearing silk robes, so they're kind of freezing to death. So they go inside the castle to warm up. And then out from the lake pops this old, haunted looking shipwreck kind of boat. And there is the Durmstrang guys. I think they might all be guys. It really didn't specify if there were any women on that one or not. But Durmstrang is led by Karkaroff, and they all have these really thick, matted fur kind of cloaks, so they look 10 times bigger than they actually are. And Karkaroff is like, come here, Victor, and up comes Victor, and Ron's like, it's Crumb! It's Victor Crumb! The big Quidditch player from earlier in the book. So that is the chapter so far. It seems like things are going to finally start taking off. This has been a very slow start of a story. Lots of information coming in, but still not a ton of activity. So, this is what I think the first book had maybe 17 chapters. We're 16 chapters in and just getting started. Very different vibe on this book. Very different kind of material here. But I don't want to speculate too much. I mean, my main point of interest is Professor Moody, because I feel like he is up to something very strange. And I don't know if maybe Dumbledore is suspecting one of these other school people are going to be up to something, or maybe people are going to start showing up because of the Triwizard Tournament. But there's some kind of disconnect here between Moody and the Unforgivable Curses and Dumbledore giving the okay for that. So either Dumbledore doesn't know and Moody is doing his own thing, or Dumbledore once again knows a lot more than he's letting on, but we'll find out as the chapters progress. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, share. Sharing is caring, and we will see you next time, Fanily members. Bye! Well, Fanily members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, hey McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that? Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Fanily. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Fanily and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos like you helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, Fanily members. Bye.